Who's that coming down the track? Who's that coming down the track? It's a mean machine running black. It's a mean machine running black. Ain't nothing finer in the land. Ain't nothing finer in the land. And a drunk obnoxious Georgia fan. And a drunk obnoxious Georgia fan. Go dogs!
What's up, y'all? This is John and Mike back for another episode of the Nothin Finer podcast. Once again, we are live on Millions. And speaking of Millions, we have the merch available. We've got a couple t-shirts, a lot of hats up right now. But we are currently actively in the process of working with Millions to get another t-shirt or two put out. So keep an eye on our social media for that. This episode, we are doing the second annual Nothies, is what we're calling them. Tried for a year to come up with a better name. Couldn't really get one. So this is where we're at.
Yep.
But we are giving out Golden Kegs tonight because obviously there's nothing finer in the land than a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fans. For the Nothin Finer Awards, you know, we're giving out some symbolic Golden Kegs. That's just how we're going to do it. And I do want to apologize for episode coming out late. It'll be, you guys will probably be listening on Wednesday morning. We both had some stuff come up over the last 2 days, mostly me, if I'm being entirely honest. But this was the earliest we've been able to record. So, how was your weekend and what are you drinking?
Just drinking water again. Weekend was fucking great. Lions first playoff win in 32 years, man. Let's go. It's been a great outside of Georgia losing one game, it's been a great 2 years of just football. Well, 3 years for football for me personally.
Yeah.
Got to get to host Tampa next week, so I mean, I'm feeling good about that. I mean, if we lose to Baker Mayfield, it's going to be an issue. But beat him earlier this year, so yeah, my teams don't lose to Baker Mayfield. All right. But I mean, outside of that, not much. How's it going?
Good, man. This weekend I went to a friend of mine played in the Savannah Open professional disc golf tournament. Instead of an amateur tournament like all of the ones that he's ever played in, he played in a professional tournament.
Mm.
It was cold. It was windy. Kind of sucked. I walked with him. I caddied him, kind of helped him because the first few shots he threw, he was nervous. It was not the normal disc he throws. It was not the normal line he throws. And I was like, I had to almost shake him and be like, yo, what the hell are you doing? Like,
this isn't who you are.
We played this course like 2 weeks ago, and this is nothing like what you did. Come on now. And then I went to ECHL All-Star Fan Fest on Sunday. Waited in line for hour and a half-ish to see the Stanley Cup, and then realized that we were another almost 2 hours of waiting in line away from seeing it.
It's a big ask. Yeah.
Yeah, so we just left. It was supposed to be cool, but it was a 2 hour line to get player autographs or a 3 hour line to see the Stanley Cup, or you could go ice skate.
Well, you had to pay for that too, though, didn't you?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Because
it was not fun. It was a clusterfuck.
mhm.
But
the way I interpreted it, because I wanted to go to the fan fest, because I'm a trophy whore and I just want to see all the trophies, especially the Stanley Cup, because that's the one I haven't seen besides the Lombardi Trophy for obvious reasons. But I thought you had to pay for like every single thing, like ice
no,
skating. Okay, so okay, it
no.
was
Once
all
you got in, you could see it. I
okay.
also got pictures of the Kelly Cup, the ECHL MVP award, the NHL MVP award.
Oh, the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, they had like 6 trophies up there, and the Stanley Cup. So I got pictures of all those. But on Monday, last night, was the actual All-Star game. And imagine what the NFL All-Star game has become, but on ice. No one's really trying to play defense, even the
Hmm.
goalies.
Yeah.
The final score was 18-11.
Yeah, they do it like the All Stars versus the host team, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Um,
so
we
they beat an expansion team in their second year of existence. It
yeah
was
yeah.
close. 7 goal game.
Um, yeah, but Savannah won all the skills competitions. They did a fastest skater doing a lap around the ice. Savannah player got that in 12.9 seconds. They did hardest slap shot. Savannah player had a 96 mile an hour slap shot.
Golly.
Yeah. They did most accurate, and they put a target in each corner of the goal,
Mhm.
and the person had 30 seconds to hit all of them, but whoever hit it fastest won. Savannah player hit all four targets in 3.7 seconds.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they won all of the skills competitions, which tells me if your players are fast as hell, shoot really hard, and shoot really fast and accurately, and you lose this much, it's the coach.
Hmm.
Because if your players don't just have the basics down, but excel at the basics and lose more often than they win, it's probably a game plan issue, right? Like, I'm not crazy.
Probably. I don't. I like hockey. I like watching hockey. But if you were to ask me like strategy and stuff, I don't know. I've watched it my whole life. I can't begin to tell you. I just like watching people get hit and
Yeah.
scoring and stuff.
So,
Yeah.
so if you're not real familiar with hockey, Savannah's game plan. Um, remember like prime Spurs teams from a few years ago, like when Pop was cooking, they went to the finals like every other year. And you
Hmm.
know how they were like the best passing team in the league? Like it
Yeah.
would just be pass, 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 find somebody open, take a shot.
Hmm.
Savannah does that on ice, but they never take a shot.
So nothing's changed from last year then.
Yes.
Okay.
Um, except they're a lot more physical this year.
Okay.
So they'll just check the shit out of somebody,
Hmm.
and there's one less person by the goal, so they score.
There we go. Okay.
So they
All
score
right.
more this year, but
Hmm.
they've passed too much. Like the average power play, they'll get two shots on goal.
That's ridiculous. I mean,
I,
so again,
yep.
not a hockey strategist or anything, but you got to just shoot the fucking puck.
You
Take
can't
your shot.
score without shooting.
That's the goal of literally, that's the
Yeah,
goal of the whole fucking thing. You want to score and don't let the other team score. More shots on goal gives you more opportunities.
yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, Savannah finished the season last year winning like 21 of their 50 games. Um,
Which honestly, I mean, your first year of being a franchise is not bad. And you
could
fed
be
into the
worse,
Stanley Cup champion. Yeah.
but they had a goalie for 70% of the season that finished the hockey season on the Stanley Cup winning roster.
Like Seville.
Seville was so good in the ECHL that he got called up to the AHL. Like Savannah lost multiple 1-0 games last season.
Mhm.
And then he got called up from the AHL like 3 or 4 weeks later to the NHL and got a title with Vegas. And you let that goaltender lose 1-0 games. Like what? Come on now.
Disgusting. Yeah.
But as far as what I'm drinking, I am. I don't know if that sound made it across. But that was cork coming out of a bottle.
Ooh. Okay.
So I am back. I'm starting with some low proof stuff. Just got some regular Buffalo Trace.
Nice.
But after physical therapy had me at tears at 8 a.m. today, I deserve something for myself.
I agree.
And then I have to do more physical therapy when we get out of here. I got to do my own exercises. So
How many days a week do you have PT?
twice, twice a week.
Okay.
And I got to do stuff at home every day.
So Tuesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Friday, because
Oh,
I don't
okay.
work Fridays, so I try to schedule as much for Friday as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my off day, so I try to give myself no free time.
Naturally, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so we're gonna go. Actually, before we get into the awards, you know, we pissed a lot of people off last week with our Mike Bobo thing, and you know, I have a message that I feel like I need to send out about that. So here it goes.
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
And if Mike didn't hear that, you'll hear it tomorrow. It was a sound bite.
Is
Um,
it does it have something to do with saying fuck you?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. You'll hear it tomorrow.
Okay, cool,
Um,
cool.
but yeah, if you don't like the fact that by every quantitative piece of evidence that you can find, Mike Bobo was a better offensive coordinator than Todd Monken was last year.
Mhm.
Turn, donate your Georgia stuff to somebody that actually likes the team.
Right.
I'm just gonna say it because you obviously just want to find something to complain about.
On a team that has very, very little to complain about pretty consistently.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. And we talked about it last week. Was the game plan in the SEC championship game good? No,
No.
I'm not even gonna try and say it was an okay game plan. It wasn't good. There's no two ways around that.
Hmm.
But to say that someone is not good at what they do when they missed 1 out of 14 times, um, if a Major League Baseball player went 13 to 14, one season and in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Over like a month. Like this is an entire season. Like that's yeah.
if if Tiger Woods hit 13 of 14 50-foot putts, like everyone would go nuts. It would be all over the place.
Hmm.
So having one miss out of 14 games, suck it up, guys.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like they got blown out. It was again a 3-point game. It wasn't all the offense. We've talked about that a ton, but stop hating Mike Bobo like that.
Yeah, this we're finally over the goddamn it Bobo comments. Like,
Yeah.
come on now.
Yeah, we're way past that at this point.
Yeah, we realistically that those are a decade old. Come on now.
Like again, we started the season wanting Bobo to have like a toss sweep or like I formation up the middle just to get it out of the system and just piss off all the people that were already gonna be mad about it. But
He
yeah,
ended the
we're
season with those against
yeah.
Florida State and scoring points off of them. So
Mhm. It's amazing what happens when you have better players too.
wild,
Yeah.
wild.
Mhm.
So we are going to go ahead and get into the second annual Nothing Finer Awards here tonight. We're going to start with Offensive Freshman of the Year. And so just like last year, I had a nominee, Mike had a nominee, and then we came together, talked about it, and decided on a winner between the two of us. So for my nominee, I have Lawson Lucky. And yeah, you can look at the stats. And he didn't have a ton of stats. I think he had 2 or 3 catches on the season, one touchdown.
Mhm.
But a true freshman stepped up when Oscar Delp was asked to fill Brock Bowers' shoes. He was still a few sizes too small, but he's working on it,
Yep.
trying to grow them feet. Um, but Lawson Lucky was called in to Oscar Delp's role of, hey, you facilitate the run game, whether it's blocking in line, blocking out of the slot, blocking out wide. Your job for the next 3 to 4 weeks is to just block the hell out of anybody in your way. And he did that at a level that you don't expect out of a true freshman. Like,
Right.
Brock Bowers did not block at that level as a true freshman. And I feel like that can't be said enough. Um, So yeah, I mean, he was asked to step up into a position that most people wouldn't be ready for. He did really well at it, and he was rewarded at the end of the season with his first touchdown.
And he And we were big on him again, going all the way back to the G-Day game. Like he was one of the breakout stars of that particular thing, along with Makai Muse. But yeah, I mean, he's gonna have a big season next year. He's gonna be one of the prime breakout candidates for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And then so my nominations for offensive lineman Ernest Green. So at first I had written down Cash Jones, but he's not a
Who?
freshman. Cash Jones.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
think he's like a fifth year senior this
yeah.
upcoming season.
So technically he was a redshirt sophomore, so like it was his third year on the team. I don't know if he's scholarshiped yet or not. I have no idea, but I mean obviously he played a pivotal role at times this year, especially with the running back room being hurt. But I think the most fair one is Ernest Green. First team freshman All-American by the Athletic, first team All SEC freshman for the conference as well. I mean, dude was solid all year.
Yeah.
On a team that didn't necessarily have a ton of like uh, producing freshmen. I mean, freshmen have played, across, the season, especially in blowouts and things like that. But for someone as pivotal as the
Oh
position that
yeah,
he
for
played on the
sure.
offensive line, like he was very, very, very important in the success of the team this year. So I would have to give that to Ernest.
Yeah, no, I think it's hard to argue against that. I mean, what he was able to do as a true freshman on the offensive line in the hardest position on the offensive line, with
Mhm.
constant injuries to pretty much every other player at certain times throughout the season. I
Mhm.
mean, he was really the only guy that started every game. Everybody else had injuries.
Yeah,
So
and we were super excited. Going back to spring game and all that. Like when we previewed that with Candler on, we were excited to see what Ernest Green would be, and he lived up to the hype too. So it was good.
yes. So we do have a drum roll sound before we
Ooh,
announce the winner. I know.
okay.
Put in some work today. So oh damn. Ernest Green won the
Yay.
Golden Keg for Offensive Freshman of the Year, and his is filled with sparkling apple juice or grape juice, his choice, because he's
Because he
not old enough to
cannot.
drink yet.
I would say he can't get alcohol, especially in Athens as a football player. No
No,
way.
absolutely
No, you
not.
can't do that.
Athens is a straight and narrow town.
hmm
If you have a fake ID, it gets confiscated everywhere.
And you get yeah, you're thrown in the slammer immediately. We don't have time for that.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, Ernest Green. We kind of already touched on all the stuff, but I don't think he's necessarily gotten the recommendation or recognition that he deserves for what he did this season, like we talked about with the awards, but also, just once again, he was the only guy that started every game this season because everybody else got hurt at some point or another.
Mhm.
Um, and that, out of a true freshman, you couldn't ask of anything more, but you also wouldn't have even asked of what he gave you from a true freshman.
Yeah, when you were talking about the injuries too, I mean that's another thing that probably doesn't get talked about enough is especially in the offensive line, like you with all the different stuff coming on around you and all the different responsibilities, having like a rotating, carousel of guys around you that do different things better or differently and all that. It makes it all the more impressive that he was able to be again as consistent as he had been his freshman year.
Yeah, and good news is without a transfer, there's two more seasons at Ernest Green.
Hell yeah, let's go.
So we're going to move on to defensive freshman of the year. So I've got Christian Miller. We talked a good bit about how this particular season's D line didn't live up to the legendary status of the last few, but what we saw in Christian Miller should have y'all just as excited as I am. I think he's in the same vein of explosive interior defensive lineman as Jalen Carter is. I mean, you saw him putting grown men, SEC offensive linemen on skates as a true freshman at multiple times this season. Every time he was in the game in a pass rush situation, he exploded off the ball. Um, pretty much everybody he played against felt his presence at some point or another. And I think he's got a very, very bright future ahead of him in Athens.
Yeah, and I mean, and coaches always talk about the biggest jump that a player takes is from their freshman to sophomore year or their first or second year in the program. And I think we're going to see a big, I mean, great freshman year, but it's going to be even better going forward. So looking forward to it. And then as far as my nomination, it's going to go to CJ Allen. I think, if everyone's heard us talk about him quite a bit. So it goes without saying that he should be well, at least one of the names mentioned for this. He came in for Pop midway through the season when he broke his forearm, and really didn't miss a beat. And at times, improved the skill level of that position in the middle of the field. 41 tackles or 41 total tackles in the sack. He did have some hiccups in pass coverage, but again, true freshman, some that you would come to expect a little bit. He got picked on at times a little bit, but toward the end of the season, he was not a liability at that. In fact, he was an improvement over Pop in pretty much every area except for probably leadership, because obviously Pop, that was what his junior senior year in the program. So
Yeah.
um, and he was all American on some different like publications and things like that in the preseason. So for you to do that and basically force an all American type guy to transfer somewhere else is insane as a freshman.
True
So
freshman.
yeah, true freshman. So
In the
yeah, I'm
same linebacker room, in the same linebacker class as Todd Bowles' son.
yeah,
And you're the guy
insane.
that got the start.
Mhm. Well, they don't. Okay, so we talk about nepotism at UGA with all the different uh coaches' kids and things like that. But again, Todd Bowles over there doing his thing in Tampa. Jackson Muschamp had to wait to get into the game in the Orange Bowl until like the very end. So whoever the best player is going to play.
Yeah. I wonder if the Buccaneers avoid taking any Georgia players because Troy Bowles didn't play this season.
Show them. Would you want to
Uh,
go to Tampa though?
you're probably not going to like this. Because of the weather and the city itself, I'd rather go to Tampa than most NFL teams and cities.
They would be like my third Florida team that I'd want to go to.
I,
It's too close
what?
to Orlando. I would rather go to Jacksonville before Tampa. Then Miami would obviously be number one, but
Oh, not for me. I've been to all three cities a decent amount of times. I prefer Tampa. Tampa has better strip clubs than both of the others, and you don't have to spend $2,000 just for a drink in a Tampa
hmm.
strip club.
But it's too my only problem with it is it's too close to Orlando. I just again I-4 we've talked about it in
You're
our
an hour and a
interstate
half
talk.
away. You have no reason to leave Tampa.
I don't know.
It's
I'm not.
it's not like the team drives to Orlando to fly out. Like they
No,
fly out of
no,
Tampa.
no. But Orlando's a hellhole. But again, they don't have the team. So you're right. You're right. I don't know. It's Tampa. I don't know. It seems like a very fair weather sports city. Which again, if you're a professional, that should be great because nobody gives a shit unless you're Mike Allstott.
Um, yeah, that's oddly the second time I've heard his name mentioned in the last 2 days.
When you think about the Tampa Bay Bucks, it's Mike Allstott, a big Cliff, and then maybe Tom Brady or like what Rondé Barber or something like that. I don't know.
Uh, the guy I was talking to yesterday, I was talking to somebody at the All Star game that runs like a traveling sports booth for part of the year. And he was
Mhm.
like, "Oh yeah, like 6 months ago, I sat down and had like a 30-minute conversation with Mike Allstott. He signed a bunch of stuff for us to sell."
Hell yeah, there you
It's like, what?
go. He's the only fullback most people can name.
Um, I got two more for you.
Corey Schlesinger.
Nope.
Oh,
Kuhn from
yeah,
the
yeah,
Packers,
Green Bay, yeah, yeah.
and then Juszczyk from the 49ers.
Well, I only know his name because of the jacket thing.
Oh, I've known his name for a long time because, fun fact, if you're in a fantasy league and the 49ers are playing a team with a good run defense, pick
Mm,
up just get the waiver on Juszczyk for the week because he gets a lot of fullback slants when they
noted.
play
Okay,
teams with good run defenses. Just throwing it
mm,
out there.
interesting. Okay, all right. I can't
Uh,
spell it. I'll take your word for it.
Hey, just Kyle J Polish spelling, and it'll pull up.
Best Polish players in the NFL. It's just him.
Oh, so winner of Defensive Freshman of the Year. CJ Allen. I don't know if anybody was surprised by that. We love CJ Allen on this show.
Mhm.
Um, both as a person and as a player, I think he's going to do great things moving forward. And just like we talked about with Ernest Green, 2 more years.
2 more years. 2 more years. Yeah.
Um, Offensive Player of the Year, and this is anybody, everybody is open for this award. I've got Cedric Van Pran. Probably not a top five name most people would think about in this situation, but I I think it's a real easy argument. He's one of if not the best center in all of college football this past season. Didn't have to come back this year. He was already looked at as a first center taken in the draft last year. Came back, um, and he just got better between his junior and senior years. PFF grade, so take that for what it's worth, of 78.2, top rated center in college football this year, according to Pro Football Focus. He played 868 snaps this season.
Damn.
Zero sacks allowed, zero quarterback hits allowed, zero for tackles for loss allowed. And, he was out for, I think, one whole game, maybe a half here and a half there. But he was the leader on the offensive line. He was the glue that held it together. Whether you had Ernest Green, Dylan Fairchild, him, and
Hey,
whoever it was on the right, because that was getting rotated quite a bit with the injuries of Tate Ratledge and Amarius Mims. He was the guy holding it together, pointing out all the different blitzes and coverages and everything that they had to do. I think that Cedric Van Pran's probably going to be one of the guys that Georgia misses the most coming into next year and won't get talked about near enough.
if I could do a future on where SVP will go, it's got to be Philly with Jason Kelsey retiring. It's got to be.
Oh, late first round pick.
Could be. Could be. They love, as we know.
They love Georgia players, but
Yeah.
also, is Cedric Van Pran going to be there at the end of the second round? Centers have started getting
Maybe.
taken higher and higher.
Yeah. There's occasionally. Yeah, that's a good point. They might have to. I mean, well, no. So
Everybody watched the Rose Bowl. They're like, dude, we need somebody that snaps the ball correctly
you know what's really an underrated important thing is being able to get the ball from
to
the
the
center
quarterback.
to the quarterback. Very underrated. It's not talked
Yeah,
about enough.
yeah.
Um, yeah, okay, but yeah, if I could do a future on him going to Philly, I would do that right now. Whatever the odds are, do it. All right, but my offensive player of the year, we talked about him a lot this year, obviously, because he plays the most important position on the team. That's quarterback, Carson Beck, in his junior season, first year starting. Numbers again, he was just shy under 4,000 yards passing, 3,941, 72.4% completion percentage, 10 yards per pass attempt, 24 touchdowns, 6 picks. And again, most of those picks weren't really his fault. There were a lot of deflections and stuff like that. He made like one or two really bad throws that ended up getting picked off. But arguably the best individual year at quarterback in Georgia history, and that includes Stetson Bennett in 2022. We talked about that in the last episode. You brought up all the stats and did the side by side when you talked about Bobo as well. But at worst, he led the second best offense in team history. And again, I think we would probably say it's probably the best, or at least a very,
Uh,
very good argument that it's the best
yeah,
offense we've ever had.
1A, 1B.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to pick. But yeah, mine would go to Carson for offensive player of the year.
Yeah, and I mean, Carson ran off a guy that's going to start for another SEC school. Like,
And B, play really fucking well.
yeah,
A really good quarterback. Yeah, yeah.
we will miss Brock Vandegrift. We will not talk trash about him whatsoever, even
Mm.
Kentucky week. Wait, Georgia doesn't play Kentucky this year.
No, they do. They do. I
Oh,
think it's the first
no,
SEC game.
Kentucky's the permanent rival.
Mm,
The one they
no.
talked about being one of the permanent.
Oh, did they? They
Yeah, it was Florida, Auburn, Kentucky.
oh, okay. I forget. Yeah. That's their first SEC game, I believe, is against Kentucky. Or is at Kentucky, their first road game.
I gotta look it up because
I
now
know
I'm
it's
just
early because normally that game is one of the last SEC games, and it's like super early this year.
Georgia, Florida, Auburn, Kentucky. So Georgia will play Kentucky for the rest of Brock Vandegrift's career.
Right on.
All right.
Excuse me.
So the winner is Carson Beck. Once again, not really much of a surprise to a lot of people. I just wanted to shine some light on Cedric Van Pram because I do think he was a hell of a player this year and he will be missed. But yeah, no, Carson had a phenomenal season, and you'll have to excuse our soundboard issues. I've been working through these for like 3 or 4 weeks now, and finally got back to a point of where I could actually get the soundboard up, and now it's just like a 4 second delay. So
It's all good.
could be worse. We could just
Oh,
have the constant echo that no one heard because we had to start episodes 5 or 6 times recently.
yeah.
Yeah, y'all are lucky you didn't hear that. It was awful. It would just the computer would echo back through the microphone for whatever reason, and it would sound like you're yelling into a cave with music in the background.
Yeah.
Defensive Player of the Year. I've got one of my favorite players. We talked about him quite a bit. Our listener from Denver asked us to talk about him quite a bit more. And that is Tyke Smith. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better star defender in the country this season. 70 total tackles led the team, 2 sacks, 4 interceptions. He was a ball hawk this season, whether it's pulling the ball away, getting it out of the air, getting tips, all of the above. He was all over the field. He was this year's, one of my favorite terms in football, he was this year's human eraser. If somebody
Yeah.
made a mistake, he was streaking across the field and erasing that mistake. He excelled in every type of coverage, man, zone, combo. He was great blitzer. Allowed a passer rating of 58.5 when he was directly targeted in man coverage. Just a phenomenal player. Former All American. Didn't get it this year, but I think he should have. Um, Second team All American this year. I overlooked that part. So,
That's
Tyke
just through
Smith.
CBS though.
Yeah. What is the real All American?
I I don't know,
Okay.
but yeah, that's the information I got from the UGA athletics page is the CBS one. So I don't know what publications we're taking seriously or not. I guess CBS is one. And I'll take it. He should have been consensus across everything, but we're obviously a little bit biased there.
Yeah, I mean, he was a freshman All American at West Virginia. I mean, he's a hell of a player.
Hmm.
Dealt with 2 years of injuries, came back, had a phenomenal season just before he gets to go off to the draft. I wish Tyke the best of luck.
He's a damn good dog, for sure. Uh, so my pick would be Malachi Starks, super sophomore. Well, it is a second year, so not like a super senior, but sophomore Malachi Starks, 52 tackles in total, 7 passes defended, 3 interceptions, and he was a 2023 consensus All-American first team player. So, I mean, everybody recognized how great he was. I mean, from the moment he stepped, on the field against Oregon last season, well, 2022, all the way through this season. I mean, the dude's been incredible. I mean, he's earned everything that he's gotten so far, and he's gonna have a even bigger junior year next year. So, I mean, he's again just like Tyke Smith. He was an eraser. He did everything that was asked of him. Especially as again still a pretty fairly football young guy. Was able to do some great things, and it's going to be a big part of this defense next year too.
Yeah, we got at least one more year in Malachi, and I don't know any Georgia fan that's upset about that, which is surprising because they like to be upset about everything.
I'm sure we can find one. That will be my goal over the next week. Are you kidding me? Fucking Malachi Starks is coming back. You got to be shitting me. Fuck.
I bet if we look hard enough, we can find somebody.
Yeah. This guy just pointing out all the hate, all the little things he may have done wrong because, consensus All American.
This is going to be our first honorable mention, but man, I probably sat there for 30 minutes debating this, looking up both guys. Smile Mondin.
Yeah, that was
It
my
was
other one.
really like Tyke edged him out just because Tyke's going to the draft this year, if I'm being entirely honest. That's how
Hmm.
close it was between the two guys for me. I think Smile's a hell of a player. At this point, he can't break out. He
Yeah.
can't, like, if this was a ranking of guys that excelled in their position this season, he's third at worst.
Hmm.
Um, so just want to give him a shout out because he did. I think he both or missed our both of our cuts by just like a hair.
Yeah, he was the guy I was gonna put before I settled on Malachi, which when I say settle, it's not like I
Yeah,
didn't settle on any of that.
it's not
They
like
all
you're settling on a Geo Metro because you don't have any money. It's like,
right.
yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
All right. So for the 2023 Defensive Player of the Year, Tyke Smith has won the Golden Keg. Um, I mean, I don't even think we took into account that he was leaving in our conversation. It's just star defender, nickel corner, nickel safety, whatever you want to call it, is I think it's probably the hardest position on defense to play.
Yeah.
And he led the team in tackles. His his job every single play was pass and run defense, and he did it extremely well. So I think that's why we both picked Tyke Smith. Hate that he's going to the NFL, but love it for him.
Absolutely. He's gonna kill it wherever he goes.
Oh yeah. Play of the year, not player, but play. And we're doing regular season this year because there was two postseason games to choose from instead of three like last year. Um, but play of the year, I've got Big Nas picking off Brady Cook when it was a one possession game in the fourth quarter against Mizzou in that game. I mean, Mizzou was right around the 50, and I said it during the week. I was like, if you get pressure on Brady Cook, if you start to hit him, he will make mistakes. Play before that, or a couple plays before that, was a sack. Next thing you know, boom. Big Nas gets that interception. If not for a terrible flag thrown on that play, that was almost a pick six. Our guy, Big Nas, almost had a touchdown, and that is my play of the year just because of the moment.
And so what one thing before we go on to my pick. I didn't realize Brady Cook had another year of eligibility. Like he's back this year. I thought this is like his eighth year.
Hey, you can't kick the cook out of the kitchen. Come on now.
No, no, you gotta let Brady cook. All right, so my pick, play of the year, going all the way back to the Kentucky game, first night SEC game they had in a long time. Uh, Ra Thomas, that touchdown catch when it was 7-0. Initially, they called it incomplete, and then they, looked at it for a good 90 seconds. They're like, no, holy shit, he got that right foot down.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it was incredible. Like you really had to watch it in like super slow motion to realize what you just saw.
Oh, yeah. And so that play happened on the sideline that we're closest to. Like, we're almost looking straight down that sideline from the third level.
Mhm.
And right after the play, I was like, damn, that was almost a great catch. Like, from the eye, I was like, damn, that was close.
Yeah.
And they were reviewing it, and I was like, what? They put it on the big board. I was like, holy shit. He
Mhm.
actually did that.
That was a hell of a first career touchdown on the team too.
Oh, yeah.
That made a fucking impression. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was impressive for me. I love that. That's on the highlight reel for the year for sure. Obviously, since we're talking about it.
Yeah. I still do need to work on getting a 2023 season uh, play call together for the out sound.
Hmm.
Um, so, if you listen to some games on the radio this year or have a favorite play that you remember being called on CBS, whatever channel it was on at the time, send me the play around what time of the game it was, and I will clip that out for this year's out sound. I didn't listen to any Scott Howard radio calls this year. I'm a terrible person. So, if you did, let me know, and I would love to. I'd love to be able to find those and put them in for the out sound. But the winner of play that goes to Big Nas, Nazir Stackhouse picking off Brady Cook. I think it just came down to the moment. Close game in the fourth quarter, Mizzou driving the ball, and big time players make big time plays. Big Nas coming back this season. Real excited about that with what the defensive line's capable of looking like next year. Um, that was just an awesome play. Really, I mean, once again, play of the regular season came down to the Mizzou game.
Yeah, absolutely. The most important home game of the year.
Last year it was Malachi Starks running down the running back right before he went into the end zone, holding him to 3 points. This year it's Big Nas with that interception.
The almost thick six. The
Oh,
stadium would have exploded if that would have happened. I that's a moment that we missed out on.
it already exploded when he got down to like the two,
Yeah.
but
Ugh.
man, and it doesn't hurt this the doesn't hurt
No.
that after the game they asked him what he was thinking, and he was like, "Man, I'm big as hell. I got a lot of meat to move when I run with my knees high. I was tired." Big guys everywhere love you, Big Nas.
Hmm.
Breakout player of the year, and this is a guy that this isn't freshman. This is just a guy that didn't have a huge impact in the 2022 season that had an impact this year. Um, for my guy, CJ Allen. Um, I mean, for all the reasons that Mike said a minute ago, I've talked about it multiple times this year when I sent him a message, about how much my nephew looked up to him being from that same area. And, he shared that story with all of his followers on social media. CJ Allen will always have a special place in my heart unless he goes to Alabama and does broken hearts in the end zone. Um,
Much as women. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, punches women, does broken hearts in the end zone, all that kind of stuff. But there's no way he's going to do that. He was
No.
raised right. Um, CJ Allen is my breakout player of the year.
It's tough to argue it, but I'm gonna give it a try. So my candidate or my nominee is Dylan Bell. I talked about him right before the season started as like breakout candidates, and he must have heard what I said. It took him a little bit to get to that point. He was used all over the place, and I'll get to that in a second. But um, he did it. He was a breakout guy. For me, 29 catches as a wide receiver, 355 yards, 2 touchdowns. As a running back, 25 carries, 157 yards, about 6.5 yards per carry, and a touchdown. And then as a pass thrower, one of one, or quarterback, one of one, touchdown for 18 yards against Tennessee. And then just a little sprinkle on top, 7 kickoff returns for 160 yards, including a 39-yard return that he had. And we were talking about it before we got on. All of those stats were important for the season. Like there wasn't like empty calories, so to speak. It wasn't during blowouts or when Georgia was up big or anything like that. Like, it was all very very meaningful and important yards and touchdowns and all that. Especially that Tennessee game where he
Yeah,
just showed out.
yeah,
Um, so and again, maybe the best part about it is he's only going to be a junior next year. This is his true sophomore season. He's got at least one more year, if not two. So again, Dylan Bell is my breakout player of the year.
You know what? I think we're gonna have to change Last minute change. Who gets this one?
Oh, okay.
I think we're gonna have to. There were too many good points made. So, for the 2023 Breakout Player of the Year, Dylan Bell. I'm gonna be honest, we were initially gonna go C.J. Allen just because of the impact he had on the defense. But as we were talking, I just kept remembering, those games where both Brock and Ladd were out, and who was the one guy that Carson could always turn to, made miraculous catches time in, time out, ran the ball when everybody else was injured, did kick returns when everybody else was injured. He was Dylan Bell this year is what, he's a light version of what Christian McCaffrey was to Stanford. It was like,
Mm,
oh,
yeah.
you need somebody? Put me in, coach. I got you. Don't worry about it.
Mm,
And I mean, with all the injuries this year, you had to have a guy like that.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
where would Georgia be without Dylan Bell this year?
Might have had 2 or 3 losses. You never know.
Yeah, like that Mizzou game, big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tennessee game, I think Georgia still beats Tennessee, but
It
it
would
would
have
have
been
been a
closer
lot
though.
closer. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, last minute change there, but Dylan Bell was the 2023 season breakout player of the year. And Mike has a special award that he wants to give out. Only one nominee. Um,
I
but,
think it's the only person that can get this award.
mm,
All right.
yeah,
So,
yeah, you're right.
uh, clown coach of the year. All right. Uh,
And we're not talking about the Clown College's football team.
no, they would have probably beat, better teams, but uh, Ryan Day is our winner for that. Mr. Bourne on third base just keeps taking L's. Uh, just to kind of go back through the year, just to things just for a very punchable face, a very hateable person. Remember going back, the biggest win for the longest time when Ohio State was the number one team in the college football playoff was their win over Notre Dame. And if you forgot, they ended up winning on a goal line run that they had at the very end. Notre Dame forgot to they needed 11 guys out there. They ran 12. I'm sorry, ran 10 out there like twice.
And what's
So
funny is Notre Dame stopped Ohio State with 10 guys on the field the first
yeah.
time.
Mhm. And yeah, so couldn't do it the second time. And remember afterward he was saying, "Oh, we're a tough team, proud to be from Ohio." And I can't believe Lou Holtz. Like he just calling out an 86-year-old man that sounds just the same as like Lee Corso. Um, so that actually made him hateable. It makes Lou Holtz somewhat likable, which is very, very hard to do. Lost to Michigan for the third year in a row, of course. And 2 of those years that he lost to Michigan in a row, he had C.J. fucking Stroud, which again we talked about, probably the NFL Rookie of the Year, or at least very close to it. Future NFL MVP, uh, just doing big things with Houston. Couldn't do that with like literally close to an All-Pro quarterback
Yeah.
in with like Emeka Ibuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. and just these like really really good skill players. Couldn't beat
And who's the
Michigan.
guy that sat out? Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Another first round wide receiver.
Yeah.
It, just silly. Uh, and Chris Olave too. Like there was a Garrett Wilson, all of them. Um, couldn't beat Michigan with those guys, and then finally lost to Mizzou in the Cotton Bowl because it's something scary about teams at the block M, as we talked about before. Um, and really, what got me thinking about this and just talking about it in general was just all the stuff that I've seen from Ohio State fans, media, things like that about propping this team up for next year. Saying like, oh, this is the team's stacked with all the transfer guys, and yeah, they got some transfer portal additions. Quinshawn Junkins being one. Will Howard from Kansas State. But if you couldn't win with C.J. Stroud, you're not going to win with Will Howard. I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Yeah. I also just want to throw out that according to 247, they're projecting Ohio State to win the Big Ten next year.
Of course they are. Well, Harbaugh's probably gone. It sounds like he's going to the Chargers, which I floated out there before. But also I floated that out there as a destination for Ryan Day. So
So here's the problem with Ohio State winning the Big Ten next year. There's this team.
Oregon.
There's this team. named Oregon. That's got Dan Lanning. Now they have Dylan Gabriel, top 5 transfer class, out of a team that would have beat Ohio State by 14 points this year.
Hmm.
So, like, yeah, is Ohio State going to be good? Sure. Are they going to make the 12-team playoff? Possibly. It's
Maybe.
possible.
Maybe
Um,
the fourth best Big Ten team out.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Um, but to go from, I mean, hell, Urban didn't even build that team.
No, no.
It's selling. They've sold a finished house 3 times and still can't find a way to turn the lights on.
Mm.
That might be my favorite analogy I've come up with on here.
That's a good one. Yeah. No, yeah. I get that.
Yeah, that was damn. I impressed myself a little bit.
That was profound. Holy shit.
Oh, so that's gonna do it for the second annual Nothies or Nothin Finer Awards. Um, if you guys like this, let us know. We'll keep doing it next year. If you don't like it, we might still do it next year because we have a good
Because
time
we're
doing
gonna forget. We'll forget anyway.
it. Yeah, you'll have to remind us like the week after the season ends because
Hmm.
we will probably forget 2 days after you send it to us. Just being honest.
Hmm. Got a lot. Got a lot going on.
Mike, you want to take the coaching news section that we've got?
Yeah. So, um, since it's been a little bit over a week since we got on or around that, a lot's gone on. We talked about uh, Nick Saban retiring. We did, recorded like that night when he retired. We talked about some of the coaching candidates and all that. And so we're a little bit late to this party, but Alabama, of course, hired former Washington head coach Kalen DeBoer to replace Nick Saban. He is bringing in his offensive coordinator from Washington, Ryan Grubb, which again, if you remember, I think you were talking about it before the season started about wanting Nick Saban wanting to get Grubb out there in Alabama and wasn't able to pry him away. So
Yeah,
got there
how
eventually.
how is that gonna make Saban feel? He's like, damn, I had to retire for you to come out here.
It, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Loyalty. It's
Yeah.
all loyalty to Kalen DeBoer. Like
Hmm.
Kalen DeBoer brought Ryan Grubb along with him for his entire coaching career. Like that's what it boils down to. So
Yeah. Hmm.
not trying to throw unnecessary shade at Nick Saban because he is retired at this point.
And poor Tommy Reese. He, not really. I don't care.
I was about to
Um,
say, has LSU hired another offensive coordinator yet?
I mean, apparently there's no cap on how many different position coaches you can have for the same thing, right?
I mean, yeah, but I'm just
I
saying.
mean,
uh,
yeah, in
Tommy
title.
Reese played for Notre Dame, then coached for Brian Kelly, and now he's like a 4-hour drive away from coaching for Brian Kelly again. Like, what
Mhm.
are the chances it doesn't happen?
Maybe he goes to be an analyst if nothing else.
He's
Who
Florida's next
knows?
offensive coordinator.
Oh, nothing would make me happier. That
What a
would
step down.
be. But then so DeBoer also is in the process. I don't know if it's official yet, but in the process of hiring former South Alabama head coach Kane Womack. It's got to be Kane to be his defensive coordinator. Um,
And this is the same South Alabama team that beat Oklahoma State this
mhm.
season. Like held Oklahoma State to I believe 13 points. So they like South
Legit. Yeah.
Alabama head coach isn't something to scoff at with how they played this year.
Counterpoint. I think it was in the bowl game, so you can take, with that, take that with a grain of salt. But I think South Alabama gave up like 52 points to Texas State, I believe.
Texas State was like a top 5 scoring offense in the country.
Counterpoint. Yeah. So I mean, there's that. I mean, I mean, they played well. They almost beat Tulane before Tulane played Ole Miss too. So I mean, it's a solid hire, at least coordinator wise and all that. But this overall, because we haven't been on since the all that happened. What do you grade this hire? How successful do you think Alabama's going to be with DeBoer?
I think it's going to depend a lot on what they're able to do in the transfer portal and how many young guys they're able to develop this offseason.
Mm,
Because Alabama had compound interest on their success since 2008, right? Like they
Mhm.
were better every year up until the 2021 season. It was the first year that they really kind of regressed.
Yeah. Mhm.
So they've always just kind of been like, hey, you see how good we are? We can make you that good and better. But, I mean, they've had a lot of guys enter the transfer portal since Saban retired. Their best returning secondary players entertaining the portal. Um, I just, if Kalen DeBoer is able to scheme a 10-win season next year, which is going to be difficult. I mean, they're
Mhm.
playing all of the good teams next year.
Yeah.
But if he's able to scheme a 10-win season next year, he'll be able to just build on that success.
Mhm.
But if Alabama misses a 12-team playoff next year,
Ooh.
first off, Bama fans are going to be calling for his head year one. But
Yeah.
second, it's going to be really hard for a guy that's never coached in the SEC to be like, hey, I know we just went from the greatest coach of all time to me, and he took a team that was just as talented as the one I had to the 14 playoff, but I missed a 12-team playoff. But I really need your help
Mhm.
while Kirby Smart's waiting in the car for Kalen to leave and go talk to
Yeah.
that same guy.
Right.
Like that, I feel like that's where he's going to struggle if he struggles. But
Mhm.
I, probably the best guy that was available and willing to go to Tuscaloosa.
Mhm. Well, and he was a guy that we had talked about when the A&M job came open. Like we thought that was a perfect fit for that job, for that SEC job. It's
Yeah.
just again, I mean, we talked about it. You don't want to be the guy after the guy or guy after the goat. So, I mean, I think he'll be fine. I just hope that Alabama fans, have realistic expectations for a guy. Again, he's won everywhere he's been, but he also hasn't been places very long before he'd leave. I mean, he's maximized talent and all that, but all around the country. Again, Sioux Falls and NAIA won a couple championships there. Where was he at? Was it San Jose
In
State?
Indiana, Fresno, and then
That's
Washington.
right. Yeah. So I mean, he's bounced around a little bit. I mean, because obviously he's earned the different opportunities that he's gotten. Um, I mean, I think it's good. It's going to be interesting to see what air raid type of system or how he's going to incorporate that with the personnel that he has now. I don't think Will Rogers is signed on quite yet because he entered the portal. He was on the sideline for the Washington game, the Washington National Championship, then he entered the portal again. So I don't know what the quarterback situation is looking like right now. I'm sure they'll address that in the spring, uh, more so when that happens. But I mean, it's good. It's good. I like Kalen DeBoer. It's just
So
interesting.
I was looking it up because I had gotten a Google alert that Jalen Milroe went into the portal, but I see that that was a legitimate organization got something from a fake Twitter account
Oh,
and posted it as news.
got
So
it from
thank
like Ball Sack Sports or something.
yeah. So thanks Google Alerts for making me think that Milroe's in the portal. We might have to get Cody back on here in the next couple of weeks to talk about this situation because I mean he is our Bama guy at this point, so it's going to be one of those, you know, as of today, what are some realistic expectations with the personnel scheme fits?
hmm
We'll have to
I
work
mean,
on that.
yeah, it'll be wild because like we were saying, they do have another whole transfer portal uh
Window.
period, yeah, window. In addition to the one they have open right now for guys to leave in the spring when spring ball is going on and afterward, they have a whole other one. So this team could be radically different in what 3 months.
Yeah.
Probably for the worse, especially if all their best defensive players are leaving. I can't imagine them bringing in equal talent. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on from there, Georgia hired former Alabama defensive back coach Tavares Robinson as the DB coach and co-defensive coordinator in Georgia, replacing Coach Muschamp, who moves back into an analyst role. He wanted to have more time with his kids and kind of enjoy, what time he has left. Not time. He's not dying, but
Uh,
enjoy his family a little bit more, and not have as many day-to-day responsibilities on the staff. Uh, just worth noting that T. Rob was the defensive coordinator under Will Muschamp at South Carolina for 4 years. The defenses were fine. Obviously, it was ran by Will Muschamp, so there's a lot of familiarity with what he obviously ran and what Georgia's been running. So
yeah,
that is,
and
that is good.
while Muschamp was at South Carolina, the only thing they did well was the defense.
Yeah, sure as hell was an offense. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so, and on top of him being a co-defensive coordinator, it once like you talked about gives Muschamp more time with his family because that's one of the reasons that he hasn't taken another job since moving back to Athens.
Mhm.
But you have the recruiting power of his name slipping my mind right now, but the defensive back coach they got from Southern Cal,
Uh,
and
yeah.
the same guy that got all these defensive backs to go to Alabama.
Mhm.
Plus, you have the guy that helped a South Carolina team with only a few 4 stars and mostly 3 stars to be one of the best defenses in the SEC, and Glenn Schumann calling plays.
It's a win-win. I mean, and you took away the best recruiter off of Alabama's staff that they
And
have. Yeah.
and allegedly, T. Rob was offered the full DC job at Alabama under Kalen DeBoer before they hired Kane Womack, and he decided to go to Athens. So
Smart guy. He is a
another
master.
win for the good guys.
Yep. Another. He's on a faster track to that head coaching money at Georgia than he would have been at Alabama under DeBoer, probably. I mean, Fran Brown got a head coaching job as a DB coach, so
Yeah,
there's a pathway there.
yeah. Um, I'm really excited about that, and especially with having both him and the guy from USC coming in to coach the defensive backs because there will be the giant holes left in that secondary with losing Kamari Lassiter, Javon Bullard, Tyke Smith. I mean, you're losing 3 guys that made All American lists. So
Mhm.
having both of those guys able to coach them up on top of obviously Muschamp and Kirby there, I got a lot less worried about the secondary in the last 2 weeks.
Especially with how well we've recruited the secondary already. Like, I don't know how much better it can get, but we'll see.
And Julian Humphrey did the hokey pokey and turned himself around and came back to Georgia.
Mhm. And we got the Pope kid from Alabama as well, the safety that if you didn't see the
It's
video,
it's a
knocking the shit out of Jermaine
shame.
Burton.
It's a shame Jermaine Burton's going to the NFL to get undrafted.
No, he'll get drafted by the Falcons for sure.
Oh, if he gets drafted by the Falcons, he'll be the only guy they pass to, not the guy they took in the first round.
Mhm. Any of the first round picks they took, right?
If you're a Falcons fan, I want to apologize, but Arthur Blank did it to himself by trying to be the head coach and owner at the same time.
Mhm.
And that just, we'll leave it there because I could go on a whole rant for that. I have I, I'm not going to say personal issues, but I've met Arthur Blank and just got a real slimy, greasy feeling.
It's the mustache.
Nope, nope. It was just the way he conducted himself. Not a fan.
Okay. And then one other note from the coaching carousel a little bit here, because again, we don't have Jim Harbaugh news quite yet, but I'm sure that's going to come as soon as we post this. But um, so with Kalen DeBoer leaving Washington, they took sorry. With DeBoer leaving, Washington hired Arizona coach Jed Fish as their head coach, which again we were both like super high on Arizona in the second half of the season. I want to renounce my dibs on Arizona as my bandwagon team because Fish is more than likely bringing Noah Fafita with him. I would assume nothing's concrete yet,
I was
but
about to, I read earlier that depending on who Arizona hires as head coach, no Arizona players are planning on following Fish to Washington.
Okay, so I dibs. Yeah, no, I think they were looking at the San Jose State coach is the last thing I saw in passing. I didn't look much into it because again, I assumed everybody was going to go with Jet Fish, but
Oh, oh, are you about to get cold taked? They
oh,
posted it when we started. Brent Brennan. Let me figure out where he coached before San Jose State.
oh, there we go. Hell yeah,
Yep, yep.
football factory.
I'll have to do a deep dive into how San Jose State did over the last few years
Yeah, so
because I still really want to like Arizona. I do.
I mean if they can keep Fafita,
I
yeah.
mean, most of their team were, underclassmen this year that are coming back. So with the
Mhm.
right scheme, they are going to do extremely well in the Big 12.
Oh, and a wide open Big 12 without Texas and Oklahoma. So
Yup.
yeah, that I'm looking forward to talking about that whole league. But one thing I'll say about Jed Fish is since 1997, he's had 17 different jobs across college and pro football.
Oh wow.
17. So he does not have a history of staying in one place very long. Uh,
Wow.
it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of jobs. So what was that 27 years?
Yep.
Basically every 1 point something years, something like that. I don't know. I'm not a math guy. We've again never claimed to
We're
be a
not
math.
mathologists.
No, we've never
Um,
claimed to be that. But that's a lot. That's a lot of jobs and
1.4 years is what he stayed at each job.
crazy. That so yeah, I don't know. I mean Washington. I mean maybe it stops the bleeding for them, so to speak. But uh, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think we are going to move on to basketball. Um, Georgia barely lost to number 5 Tennessee on Saturday, 85-79. There was like 40 seconds left, and it was 81-79. And I'm assuming Georgia did that terrible trend that's been in basketball over the last decade or so, where, oh, we're down 2 points. Instead of playing defense, we're just going to immediately foul and give them more points. That
Well, college basketball makes a little bit more sense if it's a one-on-one situation, just because it's free throws into college kids. But yeah,
I
and yeah,
that kind of stuff. I have a new reason on why I don't watch basketball almost every week, but that's one of I just can't stand it. Like, hey, play defense.
hmm
Like if you're playing hard physical defense, you're gonna get them a foul anyways. But just running up and grabbing the arm and giving them free points when it's a 2 point game,
yeah.
like one steal, one accidentally dribble off the foot, go down, tie the game.
Mm.
And it's not like that stuff doesn't happen. I'm not going to go on a rant. I'm not going to
It's
do it.
it's it's college basketball. Like the shit
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Georgia did have a 13-point lead late in the game, but Tennessee was able to put the defensive clamps on in the last 4 minutes. Um, Dogs played a solid 36 minutes, but it was a 40-minute game, and that loss snapped an 11-game winning streak. That's what that's supposed to say, right?
I think it's a 10 game one. I don't know what happened
10.
there.
Okay. For little inside the park baseball, there's just a jumble of letters, and I just kind of made it up from
The
what
loss
I
snapped
could.
in a game
Yeah,
streak.
yeah. So 10-game winning streak. Georgia does play at South Carolina. Game tipped off 12 minutes ago,
Now,
as of
yeah.
right now. Um, Carolina is 14-2. Georgia plays in Lexington against number 8 Kentucky soon. Teams playing well as long as neither Mike or I watch or listen.
Mhm.
So what I do is when I know a game is tipped off, I check ESPN app every 15, 20 minutes or so, just kind of get a feel of how it's going. The group chat lets us know which is
Yep.
nice. Um, but it's just refreshing to have a team that actually plays instead of just tries to win a game of horse like they did under Tom Crean.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Can someone please get to Mike White and be like, hey, there's these guys that really want to watch basketball, but every time they turn the game on, you guys start to shit the bed. So please stop shitting the bed. Either be bad the whole time or be good the whole time. But like, as soon as you guys do bad, just say, damn, Mike and John must have just turned it on. All right,
Yeah.
guys, time out, time out. Let's figure this out. Let's figure it out.
So for the record, it is tied 7-7 right now. 15:02 left.
Okay, okay, I'll take that.
Mm.
Um,
I want to say Carolina was like a 4-point favorite this morning when I looked at it when I realized they were playing today.
yeah, I looked at it right before we got on, and I was like, oh, I'll remember to not watch that game.
Noted. I'll watch it on replay if they win.
But that's going to do it for us tonight, guys. As always, remember follow our social media at nothing.finer.pod on Twitter, at finerpod on, or nope, other way around, at nothing.finer.pod on Instagram, at finerpod on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. Just search us there.
And
Don't
vote.
forget to vote for us on Connect Savannah. The nomination period is coming to an end here shortly, and then you
Yeah.
can vote, and the votes count, but the nominations also count. So please don't forget to do that. Help us out. If you want to help out in any more ways, rate and review the show 5 stars. Send us a screenshot, and we'll send you a sticker. But always remember, there is nothing finer in the land.
Then a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan.